Hi everyone, did you know there are at least 1,700 species of bees in Australia and a number of them live in the Hunter Valley? What's become very popular lately is people making or buying insect hotels or bee hotels. One of the things with the hotels that you purchase, if they're made from overseas or they're made from materials from overseas, they're normally treated with insecticide so that they can come into the country. Obviously, insecticides are not what we want if we want to make a bee-friendly place for them to build their nests. So the majority of bees are actually solitary bees, and they build nests either in soil, earth, clay, banks, or in holes that they find or they make in logs. And we've got an example on the ground here. They're the type of holes that wild bees would normally use, but they're quite happy to also build nests in logs that we've purposely drilled holes into. We're going to make a bee hotel today. So apart from boreholes that are made by borers and that are used for bees, some bees also build nests inside the hollow stems of plants, and particularly useful, you can see this pithy center, the white part to this plant, and a lot of, as it happens, a lot of weeds form these pithy centers. This is a lantana, this one. Bushland weeds like this one's fleabane, lantana, giant reed, bamboo, all have either hollow stems or pithy stems which the bees can hollow out themselves, and they make excellent material for our bee hotel. So we'll just prepare these. So we're ready to make our bee hotel. As I said before, weeds are a great idea. Some other good weeds to collect would be a purple top, which is a roadside weed, and we want pieces that have at least 10 to 15 centimetres between the nodes, so between the joints in the stem. Another good one is wild tobacco. Again, we want the nice straight stems. Now, wild tobacco and many of the other plants like lantana are either they have irritating hairs or they're prickly, so make sure you use your PPE, like your gloves. You might want to wear a hat and a mask while you're cleaning them up. And one good way to stop those irritating hairs is to strip the hairs while you're holding it under a bucket of water. So this is wild tobacco, and you can see the fuzzy stem. So we'll just tidy that up while it's underwater, and it stops the flying fluffy bits. As you can see, this is the wild tobacco that's dyed, and the pithy stem is hollowed out naturally. So that's a very easy plant for the bees to make their nest in. Lantana, again, that's prickly. You probably want to get a solid pair of gloves and just clean up that stem. Use a pair of secateurs to trim the branches off very close to the stem. And if you're making this for children, obviously you'd prepare this beforehand. Now you can see a joint here, so we want 10 centimetres between that joint and that joint. So cut it off just after this one, and we'll measure that. As you can see, it's a bit over 10 centimetres, so that's good. So this is where we're going to build our bee hotel. We're going to fill up this section here with material that bees will like to make their nests in. Now we've got several different sized holes for different insects. So leaf cutter bees, they would in the wild, they would build their nests inside a borehole. So these large holes that we've drilled into this log, they're at least 10 centimetres long into the log, and they should be just under 10 millimetres wide. Likewise, we've got bamboo here, and the holes are around about 5 millimetres to 8 millimetres wide. So we've got some pithy stems here, and the carpenter bees like pithy stems to build their nests. And we're going to make some clay nests for many species, including the blue-banded bee, which like to build nests in clay banks. So we've got some powdered clay here, and we're going to mix a little bit of sieved soil from the garden into that. If you can find some silty soil that hasn't got a lot of organic matter, it's got a little bit of organic matter, we're just going to mix some of that in there. Otherwise the clay will be too hard to work with. We'll mix that up, add a bit of water, and then you need to find something to put that into, and we're going to use, depending how much material you have, we're going to use a pot, and this pot is about 150 millimetres long. So you need they like the depth, because they build long tunnels with chambers, and they put an egg in each chamber with a little bit of pollen for food. So mixing this up, and I bet the kids would love this part because it's very messy. So just putting it into there. Don't pack it too tightly, just a little bit tightly. And then a little bit more. And then with a pencil, now a pencil is around about, but usually less than 10 centimetres in diameter. It's around 5 to 8 millimetres. So we can poke some holes in, and this helps the bees start off their nest building. Just poke a few holes. So now we're going to put the pieces together in the bee hotel. Different species of bee like to hang out with their own species. They don't like to associate with other species. They are individual solitary bees, but they do sort of congregate in the same area. So we're going to put similar size holes in the one area. So I'm going to use this one. This is an old plumber's pipe that's sort of cut fairly short, about 30 centimetres, and we're going to stuff the bamboo or the sticks into this before we put it in the hotel. I'll just cut that off, so tidy it up a bit so it looks neat and tidy. I'll put that in there. As I said before, we want to bundle the similar sized whole pieces together. So I've got bunches. I'm using a little bit of poly pipe here to hold the pieces together. So I can just put that in there. Getting it all in one lump is a challenge. And then stuff it so it's quite fairly tight. Give it a bit of a tap on the log so they're all fairly even, so the insects can reach all the holes or see the holes, and it's not going to move. Just slip that through a little bit. Also, you could use rubber band. Is not going to last very long, but for this demonstration I'm using a rubber band, but also string would be probably better outside. So make a nice bunch and just tie it together, and then we're ready to put all the pieces together, remembering that the similar size holes will go in the similar parts of the bee hotel. So off we go. For our bee hotel, we used a piece of tree that was removed. The root was removed when we were doing construction, and we cut those into 20 to 30 centimetre lengths. It's important to not remove logs from the bush, as they're habitat for wild insects and animals, and we want to create a home for bees. We don't want to be taking away from the wild animals. So we want to position our bee hotel where it gets a little bit of morning sun. That's most important in the winter time, when the little insects are developing inside their nests. And also it needs to be at least 1 metre from the ground, but not more than 2 metres above the ground.